I wasn't in the mood. But anyway, as I was parking my vehicle on the street and past my neighbor's place, at the end of his driveway, there's this old blower that's pictured that you can see the photograph of. And there was a cardboard sign on it. I assumed he was selling it or maybe giving it away free or something. But anyway, the sign actually said scrap on it. So after having a brief conversation with him, yeah, it wouldn't run. I guess he figured there was some grief with the carb. He tried to disassemble the carb. That didn't go well. I'll show you the damage inflicted upon it, which, to be fair, is easily done. It's a 30-year-old machine. It is pretty crusty, as you can tell in the photograph. It looks like there's been a paint job slapped upon it to maybe try and keep some of the corrosion at bay over the years. But yeah, the carb is buggerized sideways, and the recoil cord is snapped. So I have to take a look at fixing that as well at the very least before I can get this going. Is it going to be worth my while? I don't know, but I don't like seeing things go to the dump, so we'll see. As I said, it's about 30 years old. I think it's a Craftsman model. I managed to scrape some of the paint off, and I did retrieve a data plate. I'll show you that, and then I'll show you the damage on the carburetor and how I'm going to go about remedying that. So after a wee bit of scraping, guys, as I said, it's covered in a thick coat of grey paint. Pretty much like everything, like the fuel tank, the plastic tank, everything is in grey paint. But anyway, I was able to unearth the data plate here, giving me the Tecumseh engine details. So from this data plate, I was able to order myself a couple of bits and pieces I think I'm going to need, considering the damage, and to try to do it economically, of course, considering it as a quote scrap machine, unquote. Interesting on the data plate here how it gives you the oil spec. Keep in mind, this is a snowblower. I think it would pretty much be always below 32 degrees if that this would be being used, but I guess the engine itself could be used on other equipment, right? So anyway, I'll show you a few details. So when he gave me this machine, he handed me a bunch of bits that he had, you know, attempted to deal with the carburetor. And before I cleaned the carb here, just a preliminary clean, I really should have inspected this a bit closer. I don't know if you can see that, but that's that brass threaded portion where the needle jet actually threads into the seat, I guess, is actually sheared off in there. So that's buggerized. I have to claim responsibility for, there's a little elbow in here, a little plastic elbow. When I took the fuel line off, it just absolutely crumbled. So yeah, this has seen better days. So I was going to buy a rebuild kit and, you know, try and cope with it, because there was a bunch of other stuff. The seat for the needle valve on the float there is absolutely bitched. So I thought, you know what, I'm not a fan of Chinese knockoff stuff. Who is? But I thought, in order to keep this economical, I just bought myself a little clone carb here. Now, I think I'm gonna have to transfer some of the linkages and bracketry and stuff, but I hope this is gonna work. It was like, I don't know, $22 or something. You can't buy a carb kit for that kind of money, right? So I don't know, this is the plastic. This was plastic on the original one, and it, as I said, it just crumbled, so that was an issue as well. Anyway, all these bits, like 22 bucks, sorry, wrong box. You know, the primer bulb, fuel line, shut-off valve, the cheapest plastic knobs on the face of the planet, gaskets. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. The mount for the box, being a snowblower, there's no air filter on it. They get clogged with the snow, of course, so there's no air filter on it, but there's a box, you know, like a baffle box, and it mounts on this bracket, and it actually fits unbelievably. It seems so far so good, you know. The pitch of the threading and the spacing is unbelievably correct. So that's for the choke mount and the box. So that all works. Original knob's back on. The original knob looks a wee bit better quality plastic. You know how Chinesium has got that, like, ready to fall apart at any moment look about it. But that's probably all right. There's probably nothing wrong with it. Yeah, so the other linkage, guessing by the wear, looks like that hole there in the middle
think was used for the, I should have noted that before I took it off. This comes from the governor. So we'll go see if it mounts. There's little else to do actually. The gasket's already on the manifold side, so yeah, we'll see. Just cleaned the manifold there just a wee bit. Gasket is on. There's the fuel line. There's the elbow. There's the new elbow there that's pot metal, I guess, and this one was originally plastic that just disintegrated off the little spline crimp type thing, and you can see the line is split there as well. That's okay. Szechuan province to the rescue, no worries. Right, let's see if I can actually one-handed do this. Maybe, maybe not. See if it fits. Yeah, there's the governor hooked up. It's all mounted up. Everything seems to fit unbelievably. So yeah, I'll deal with this. The kit came with a length of fuel line. I don't know if it's long enough, but I think this has definitely seen better days, so probably prudent to change that anyway. There's a primer bulb that comes in the kit as well. Primer line is here. Fits on here. It just kind of pressurizes the bowl in order to shoot up a little primer measure. Carb on that side. Clamps actually come in the kit, believe it or not, with the line. And I sleeved it, I double tubed it here with a wee piece of plastic tubing I had, just because it's going to chafe on the edge there if there's no grommet per se, right? Just put this back in place. Cleaned it up a wee bit. I think if I owned this for the next 100 years, I wouldn't be able to get all the grey overspray off. Okay, so that's the carb, at least buttoned up from a preliminary standpoint, guys. I'm sure I'll have to adjust the, you know, the governor and stuff. Hard to tell if that's going to be close or not, but yeah, it gets progressively stiffer as you lift the throttle, of course, right? Which makes sense. I'll have to put the shroud back on because there's a kill switch on there, but I'll probably leave that off initially, as long as the ground is lifted from the mag, I guess. From the ignition system, it should run. That plug looks like it hasn't been removed in 30 years, but we'll see. I'll change the oil if I get it running, but I'm getting ahead of myself here. I've got to deal with the recoil. I'll take that off and see if I can get it restrung. A bit nippy in here, not too bad. That's the noise you hear in the background, guys. Might be electric heater. It's pretty cool in here. So I've got the recoil removed, and good news is it looks like both the dogs are still intact. There is no sign of the previous rope at all, so I had to guess at the size. I think the spring is intact. Yeah, I think the hairspring inside is also intact. So that's the main bits. I think it's just an issue of the cord. I bought some 5mm cord. I think that'll be adequate, I hope. They sell a 3mm, which I think is like for, you know, small chainsaws and you know, trimmers and stuff like that, but blowers. I hope this is adequate. I think it's like, I don't know what it is, like 30 feet or something. This should be a good for me, a lifetime supply, if I'm lucky. Yeah, so I've just got a figure 8 knot on the end of the rope here, guys, through the hole in the pulley. The clock spring is wound about half a dozen times counterclockwise, just to wind it up, and I'm going to hold on to this, pull the pin essentially, and that should. I'm going to do this with 2 hands, guys. I don't want to hurt myself here. I'm going to pull the pin and suck in the cord. A wee bit more tension on that, but I think that's probably good enough, because I don't know if you can see here, that's the limit of how much rope the recoil can actually take anyway, so I guess that's okay. I'll shorten that a wee bit, put the D handle on, of course. Just again, just a figure 8 knot at the backside, nothing fancy. You can see, of course, centrifugal force will throw out the dogs, and that catches the cup slots and rotates the crankshaft, of course. You know how this works. So I've just removed the old plug here and cleaned it up. Gave me another plug, but it looks damaged. I don't know how that's possible, but the center electrode looks like it's canting towards the right there to me, so I think I'll pass on that one. Just cleaned up the old one. I have no idea what the gap is. I'll look it up later. I'm on the mood right now, but it looks reasonable. Just cleaned it up a wee bit. Let's hope it's the right plug. I'll verify that later as well. So again, the baffle box for the carb is not on yet, guys, which contains the key, but so long as that's removed, of course, and the throttle is off the stop position, you see there's a wee hairspring switch that in the stop position that grounds out the ignition and kills the spark. So I've actually checked the spark. There is spark. I can't do that with one hand with a camera here, guys, but this is a YouTube video, so you gotta make it fancy, right? Let's see. Let's see. I think you can see that there is spark. Uh-oh. Perhaps I've missed the basics of basics here. There's virtually no oil in it. Oh boy. I think I got head faked with a carb situation. There's like no oil in this thing. And the amount of blow-by is... the video is not going to be able to pick that up, but take my word for it. There is a huge amount of blow-by coming right out the deck stick tube here, and there's not much compression. Think about it. Oh boy. Shit. Okay, so this is not good. I'll service it with oil. I'll put a bit of oil in the cylinder and just hope to God that the compression comes back. It's maybe completely empty of oil for God knows what reason. Okay, so I've serviced it with a bit of oil here, guys, reasonable level. The dipstick tube is crushed. Looks like it's leaking. See if I can maybe form that back up and plastic weld it, we'll see. Okay, I've fueled it, but as I said, doesn't seem to be much compression, but let's see. This is real time. This is no YouTube bullshit. I don't know what's gonna happen here. We'll see. Where's my fire extinguisher? There. I haven't opened my garage door because I don't think it's gonna start. Of course, I could be wrong. Okay, time to open the garage door.